Thank you.
Yeah.
That's right.
Is everybody seeing the full screen of the deck?
Yeah, but we're seeing the presenter view, not the deck itself.
Okay.
Yeah,
There.
117.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
We're good now?
Hmm.
Thank you everyone for joining. My name is Mark Bentsen and I work with Secure for AI. I have a business partner in this, and we do consulting with getting companies up and running with AI software, and have been doing this largely since. So on October 6th last year, there was an AI conference that transformation experts put on and invited me to come and speak at that. And for the 9 months leading up to that, I'd been doing implementation of AI for real in the office with a group of folks related to doing QA work in Agile. Uh, and we were putting the AI capabilities that we had in place, and also doing research with the University of Texas in the AI space as well. Well, since then, I've been working on nothing else but this, in this topic in very pragmatic ways to get the practice up and running in small and medium businesses. So what I'm going to share here is a lot of my experience on the type of skills you're going to need, as well as things that are on the, that are out there and reasonably predictable. So first off, I just want to say thank you to transformation experts, Rick, and everyone, Regina, for just making this possible. The whole group. This is so cool that they invest back in the community, and I think that's a real testament to just the character and what they want to do, and not just getting another client, but being able to help expand the skills of people. So I'm very excited to participate. Right. So I'm sure most of you are very familiar with this. And uh, I will, the majority of AI sessions that I go to in the introduction one is, hey, I'm going to explain AI to you, and start talking about various aspects of, uh, how AI works and what's kind of how's all the magic happen, so on and so forth. What I can tell you is that the AI that people have been working with, when they say, I've been doing this for over 10 years, is not really the AI that we have with generative AI. Everything that I talk about here will be generative AI, but I'm just gonna refer to it as AI. And the AI that we had, before, was something that, in my background, we worked on it in check fraud. And it was, a lot of looking at patterns, a lot of computers trying to understand what were anomalies, so on and so forth. And so it could be very predictable in the same way that, you'll hear people say, you're already using AI, it's on your phone. And you can see the predictive typing when you enter in something in your text messaging. All right. And so that's not what generative AI is providing for you. It's that GPT generative pre-trained transformer, which you just have to think that there's a ton of training information, like 70 billion different pieces of information that it connected together, kind of like your brain. And with a brain, it's able to create new information. All right. You can create something that does not exist. And that's part of, so I say that simply to get us on the same page with thinking about there's AI in the sort of a decade before us, and then there's what we've had since OpenAI provided ChatGPT, and now we have lots of spinoffs from that. All right. Okay. So beyond just looking at how it's useful to you, if you're seeing all of this information on AI, I'm sure your news feed is blowing up with it. I'm certain that when you watch, YouTube, if you watch your news, whatever, you're seeing it a lot, right? And lots of people that I speak to, they just feel like they're left behind. Don't worry, you're not. I congratulate you for attending this conference. And what I want you to leave this session with is an understanding that lots of people feel like they're too far behind, like they kind of don't know what's going on. And so many so that just being AI curious and having a desire to learn more on how to practically use the tools and capabilities in generative AI that are available right now and have that kind of learning plan for the future, that like puts you right in the sweet spot of where you want to be. I can tell you pretty much every week there's two, maybe more significant announcements on what is possible in using AI. What you do have, and I don't know, we might be the last generation that really has this, is that domain expertise. Almost everybody on this call, I would even say everybody on this call has put in their 10,000 hours to have expertise in something. And when you combine that with AI capabilities, that is where you're really able to deliver a lot of value. Without domain expertise, at least what we have today is almost more dangerous than useful, frankly. And I say dangerous, and it won't be correct. I can tell you that 100% of the time, what you get out of the output from the generative AI is going to need a little adjusting, sometimes significant changes based on just what you know in your field. All right. So without your expertise that you're bringing from the field you've been working in, without that, what we have today is, not nearly as useful. I would say that, when I'm talking about things changing, I want to share with you a couple items that on a corporate training I had this week were different than what most people expected. They were really surprised at this. So just these are simply trends. All right. Now, you would think that the movie theaters, Hollywood and AI do not mix well, right? They're extremely adversarial, have been. However, recently, the movie studio Lionsgate, it made a deal with a company, called Runway to train the Runway AI model on all of Lionsgate's movie catalog. You're going to know them from John Wick and Twilight, all that sort of stuff. So there is now this collaboration and making deals in Hollywood with AI. All right. That seems like 180 degrees from what most likely you've heard in the past. For education, teachers have really struggled with how do we handle AI in schools. And one of the laws, so Newsom didn't sign the very large, he vetoed the very large law, but there were like 18 that he approved recently, probably within the past month and a half. And one of those, talking about education, was a requirement for the State Board of Education to consider AI literacy in math, science, and history curriculum. All right. And so California schools are going to be teaching students the basic, how do we use AI? All right, as well as limitation impacts, ethical considerations. There was another law, these will be in my notes, that was requiring the superintendent to create working groups to explore how AI is being used in public school. So it was kind of like, how do we defend against it? And now there's, again, a 180 on how to operate in a world where the genie's out of the bottle. And I will jump over here. Now, I've been spending a lot of time in kind of like legal discussions or what, these seminars with lawyers trying to figure out how do we use AI for our work. It's a very, it makes the headlines when you have a lawyer that turns in a brief to a judge that has fiction, like case law for things that didn't happen. But at the same time, the lawyers realize there's enormous value in doing some of in doing the research using some of the generative AI tools and the Lexis. Like there's a professional tool that's available now to law students to help with this, but you could almost say that like the corpus of information that's been given still keeps it a little bit behind ChatGPT. But what I want you to walk away from with this slide is in the past when we've considered technology that changes industries, it's normally that the lower level of labor is the most impacted. But with generative AI, especially if you do kind of thinking economically, that the benefits in large part are to people that are on the higher scale of education. So again, lawyers using AI, doctors being able to look at symptoms, determine what the underlying illness is in diagnosis. AI does a really nice job, and again, can be dangerous without the person with the domain expertise layer on top of it, that human in the loop. But realize that AI is so unique in the sense that it is making efficiencies it's a huge augmentation, or you could even say replacing parts of what the most skilled and trained people are doing. And in essence, what it allows for is the people that can moderate on top of what comes out of AI and become extremely valuable. All right. So when we talk about agile work, any of the job titles that you would consider inside the SDLC, you have to imagine what you're doing, but trying to complete work deliverables without you knowing what done right looks like. You really don't have the ability to make the deliverables, right? You can't go that last mile in getting something completely done. All right, let's jump to the next one. What I want to do is, okay, I'm going to hop out and we're going to do a demo here. When I'm talking about Gen AI and using it inside of Agile, well, I do want to show you a little bit, and I want to do it live. which you won't see a lot of people do. I've seen a couple people do it and it's gone well, and I've seen people do it and it doesn't. And one bad, like using generative AI live, typically scares people away from trying again. But this week has been very good to me. So, all right, I am gonna share my screen in a moment. Let me get. Okay, let's share. All right. So what I'm doing right here is I'm going to use a prompt. I'm going to show you kind of what I'm talking about when discussing skills. And what I want you to consider before I do this quick demo is the majority of people who use generative AI, the way that they came into it and what they saw or used is how they think about it, even if things have changed dramatically. You know, it might have been 6 months ago when you first tried it, and you're thinking, oh, well, yeah, it's okay for writing emails or, this or that. It's kind of those very, very, very basic activities. And I want you to leave this session understanding that there is an ocean of things that you can do at the moment and that are coming. And you have to have this ability to learn what the new capabilities are to essentially, just stay up, make sure you know how to utilize what is inside the tools. All right, everybody sees this prompt. Let's go ahead and run it. All right. So the question is, what are the skills for AI that you need to develop it? How important are they? Why are they so important? And what's the learning difficulty? All right. If I wanted to say, at this point, we're just setting up kind of a schedule for learning how to use generative AI inside the domain that we're talking about. Let's go on up here, and is there any area of this that anybody wants me to expand on? You can just put it in chat. Sorry. Crystal, is there anything in chat that I can expand on? Or
I'm sorry, can you please repeat that?
is there anything in chat that people are interested in expanding on learning areas for generative AI?
So far they don't have any questions yet.
Okay. So as
I did have a question for you based on what you were just writing, if you want to take a moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, great. So one of the things I noticed in your prompt was that you told the AI what persona it was going to act as.
Mm-hmm.
How important is that in getting the kind of responses out of Claude or ChatGPT or any of these other LLMs that people are using?
I recommend it. I mean, it's not critical, but you are trying to narrow down the universe of knowledge. And so being able to put in credentials or that, you're an expert and will give you better results. Yeah. So it's not, a deal breaker, but I tend to use it for things like this. Putting in that you have a PMP is going to give you a very, like it
Talk
will
the
tell you
language that you understand based on that
Mhm.
set of jargon that goes with that certification or.
Yeah, that's
Cool.
what I tend to do. But when people began getting into prompting, they were like all wrapped around the axle with that. So, all right. I'm just going to go into okay, prompt engineering. So okay, so this was in days 4 to 7, and now it's going to give me more detail on the prompt engineering. All right. So and then these are things that I'll be looking up, but I could go into, let's see, it's still producing it. Yeah. So just drilling into more and more detail on the subtopics. And in essence, what I'm just putting together is a training plan for myself directly out of the LLM. So I grabbed this subsection and now I'm diving into more detail, right? So I will go pretty deep in my prompts and this will make a significant difference in what you're able to get out of it. Okay. So I don't think I want to let this run forever, but you get the idea. Are there any questions? Anybody want to ask anything before I get into some more of the deck? Oh, okay.
Seems like no so far.
All right. Thank you. Let me jump to another screen. Actually, stop sharing this. Share. Okay. Does everybody see the full screen, or is it on my notes?
Your notes are displayed actually.
Mm. Right. Okay. Now, as far as what do you need today? What are the competencies? Here's your list. All right. Um, this is nothing that most people are kind of meet more than 50% of this today, but these are the type of skills that make you more likely to be able to be successful using the generative AI. All right. If somebody's pushing back a lot on like, hey, I don't want to use this new technology, obviously not good. And being able to understand how to locate tools, using them for your everyday tasks as applicable, and so on and so forth. All right. I like also being able to use data, anything that has data involved into it is a great fit for the generative AI side. So let's say you understand, all right, if I have this, then I should be able to learn AI. Well, I want to run through just some examples of people that have AI fairly prominent on their heading on LinkedIn, and realize that today you have individuals that probably don't have tons of experience in AI, but they are expressing their interest or supporting it.
On your phone.
So this is let's see, she has generative AI enthusiast. And then if I drill into her about, it only has this one thing, just she's interested in it. But it's up there in the title. I don't think that's bad at all. I think it explains to people that this is something that you care about and are interested in. Here's our next individual. So he's putting himself out there as an agile enthusiast. And Tim, inside of his about section, I think this was his third or second paragraph in his about, just had AI evangelist. Nothing really specific or particularly a lot of depth in using AI, but sending out or communicating to people that this is something he's interested in. This particular one was helping teams harness the potential of AI and leveraging Agile and AI to enhance customer value. So this is what's there right now. And if you want to express your interest in AI, I think that's a positive thing. Obviously, in this session right now, I want you to be able to walk away with the ability to upskill yourself, have kind of a plan for that, and give you some, what I showed you was that there are some basic tenets of your personality that will make it easier for you to adopt some of these skills, and that if you feel behind, you're not. All right. Just for before I go on, if you're matching your resume to a job description, there was discussion of having a large living document or, professional working document that might be 6 pages long. And the resume that you create and turn in would be less than 2 pages, like 2 pages or less. And my training was like, get it down to 1 page. Seems impossible, but not just writing, connecting your resume that you turn into the job description, but it also needs to connect to the role, the company, the industry, and even other people that work there. They're out on LinkedIn. You can see people in that department that you're trying to go to. And so you have to, if you're customizing just to what's published in the job description, you use one of these AI tools to kind of get your personal 2-page resume that will look good for them. Don't think the scope of what it has to show to just be what you're seeing in that job description that is being published on LinkedIn. There's a lot more that you'll have to take your big living document and pull out the parts that are most applicable for what you're going to interview in. All right. So I have some examples, but because it took me a little while to go back and forth, I have a feeling I will save those for a little bit later in the presentation. And what I want to do with these examples is simply to expand what the possibilities are. Like I said, if you came in, you started using AI, doing some very limited stuff with it, chances are you're seeing it inside that perspective of what you have seen it do, not what it's capable of doing today. So I want to go through some of those examples, but let me just walk through a couple things before I jump out of PowerPoint. And here I'm also mentioning, if I write an email to Crystal, I'm not gonna, put stuff in AI, get something, copy and paste, and send it to her, right? If I'm writing something one-to-one, I write it. If you want to use the AI for more or less the ideas that you want to put into text, and even though it's very good at creating tons and tons of volume of words, I would highly recommend you to be as human, reflecting your own voice as possible. It's very good at pulling together a lot of information, doing it in kind of an organized flow and so forth. But you're going to kind of turn into this generic virtual person or artificial person if you're just copy pasting. So try to break that habit as soon as possible. Now, so upcoming skills. And what I want you to understand is there's been a decent amount published for this. This is this year, April, and think of things that are multiple people that have access to AI tools who are collaborating as a team. I think it was yesterday, OpenAI released Canvas, which was intended to be able to do this. But you'll see more and more of somebody using AI by themselves and then contributing back into the group is not nearly as powerful as a whole group of people using AI collaboratively. So expect that. And even, you might be familiar with running a project, and you have a bunch of direct reports or people that are, cross matrix to you. But imagine that you have a virtual team that's literally virtual. We're not there yet, of course, but I don't know, 9 months, some of these things will be possible. All right. Okay. So, Javier, I'm showing 9:37 here, and I'm going to, or yeah, 9:55, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. All right. So as far as what are the types of skills, this is from the same report. And there's another area where the 14 technical competencies are listed, but these are, the various things that are more or less like you need to have this in your personality to be a good candidate for using AI. And again, with upcoming skills, the work that I had done before I spoke last time at for transformation experts was largely around reordering the Agile SDLC. So for example, if we were putting together stories, we were able in the QA group to be able to write test cases on how we were going to try to fail those stories. Not just like how we're going to pass them, but how we're going to try to fail them. So before the developer began coding, we could give them that type of insight. All right. So being able to do things that you may not be able to do in some sort of a linear process, quality checks at any point, or having input that you're required from previous steps, you're able to, take late steps, bring them early. And so that way the initial work is more likely to be done correct. So thinking in those terms is really, really an important aspect of using these tools. For developing a learning strategy, I thought, okay, this is more or less what I do. Let's see. I really want to click on these, but it's going to throw off PowerPoint. So I'll show a custom GPT, being able to find kind of the articles and knowledge areas inside of the companies like Claude, what I showed you, they have like, hey, here are good prompts, and how to, like, the best way to use their tools. Here's a podcast that I like, the Artificial Intelligence Show. There's lots of them. Just look at the rankings, modifying your LinkedIn feed. So you're going to be getting a pretty constant focus on an area inside of AI that you have interest. I would try to make it narrow. So here is a decent list of what I personally use. I used to be a big reader. I use audiobooks now, probably more than I like legit read. I am very active in some of our local user groups here in Dallas, and that's been a lot of fun. And then of course conferences like this. All right. I have links to some of these for following up, but I'm going to go to a browser. And keep in mind also, it's like the route that you could take is to try to go get a certification and do some formal learning, get paid training and so forth. But I'll tell you right now, I believe in use it as best you can for what you're doing. See how it can practically help you. And the courses are great, right? But and you can find, Stanford's, MIT, Harvard. This is the one from IBM, Google, and you can do a lot of learning through these. Like I said, it's not bad, but figure out how to use AI so that it benefits you is my recommendation. All right. This is going to look like my last slide, but what I'm really going to do is I am going to go into a browser and show y'all some stuff. Okay. All right. Thanks for that podcast. Marcella. No. Stay, Marcella. I'm going to show you something. Okay. So what I want to be able to do is, all right. Using AI for research, really, really useful. Now I have a document that is Berkshire Hathaway's. Let me just go to screen. Okay, so everybody's seeing this guy, right? Everybody have a visual on?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. All right. So this document is like 152 pages of Berkshire Hathaway's report, their annual report, right? And so I have that uploaded, and now what I want to do is just like all right. So it's going through the 152 pages. It's going to give us a summary. All right. I'm guessing many of you have used AI for this sort of thing. And just a little pro tip, the Barbara Mento, she wrote kind of the McKinsey way of doing analysis, which was situation, complication, what can we do, what should we do? All right. So here's our summary, right? And So it's giving us the whole strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. I can do this in table format or whatever, however I want to be able to show it. Now, one thing that's not in the report is much of things about AI. So this is going to pull this is going to pull information that's inside the model and from Claude, and it's going to make a variety of different conclusions, not just from the it's using that to do a future analysis on the tool or on the document. Okay, so one thing that was surprising in that corporate training is so here we have 10 things. All right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask it. I misspelled, but I'll just do the example. So I'll do the same thing. And so with the old AI, you could be very predictive of, or reasonably within, like what to expect. So based on whatever you would use for the machine learning training data, you find patterns, you could predict stuff or its outcome. So the one that we had before had 10 items in it, and this one has 6. Really everything here is the same. Can anybody give me an idea on why that's the case? Oh, all right, let's see who's brave. Any ideas? Why did I get different outputs when I put the same thing in?
Different condition that you entered?
I'm sorry, say it again, Javier.
A different condition that you entered?
No, I put in the same thing. I put in the question was, how will AI, I didn't want to, I misspelled it at first, so I kept it the same misspelling. This one has 10.
If you put in different, if you're getting different outputs, but you're putting in the same information, my guess is that it's doing that because
Say that one more time. No,
Your audio broke up, my guy.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying that my guess is that it's going to if it you putting the same information is doing that so to use.
Oh, didn't
Okay, your question was your audio seems to be breaking up. If you can enter your question in the chat might be better.
Okay. So I know that Javier, you're getting nervous because you think I don't know what time it is, but you would be surprised I do. All right. So the generative AI is a black box. By definition, you don't know how it's going to be able to produce the output. You just know that it's trained on a lot of data. That could be, it's trained on images. In this case, the majority of what we're seeing is trained on text, but the answer it provides to you will be different, right? Again, I'm going back to that. You have to have the human skill to be able to know what is a correct answer and what's not. Okay, so let me get to some of my examples here. All right. So this situation came up this week, and we were trying to make a kind of troubleshoot or create something for a organization that was having some hardware fail. So I'm asking it to create a yes no matrix that will
This isn't.
and so here it's creating this, troubleshooting guide. All right. And so I'm going to say create a flow. So now we're going to get a just kind of, this is what it looks like. Everybody following me here? So now I have this giant flow. Yes, no, yes, no. All right. So at that point, you ever notice there's that trend that when you're in a room, there were like several directors, a vice president in there. And so we have this mapped out. We actually got this from a recording of a call. And we're able to get this far from just transcriptions, putting it into the AI. And then they're like, all right, so yeah, okay, yeah, that looks great. But what we need is a software that can you just like we need a software that everybody can get to. So I'm like, all right, well, let's just try that. So while we're sitting here in the meeting, we go, let's make a web app that the customer or that the folks can use. And sure enough, so here we go. We basically created a program very, very, very quickly that had this, and they're like, you know, so the VP's like, wait, what? And some of the technical people in the room were realizing like, oh wow, we just have to save this off onto our internet and let people, let the support people get access to it. So what I've shown you here very, very, very quickly is how to write the software to be able to make a simple app that solves a problem. So you don't need your developers necessarily to do some prototyping for you, right? So here's my breadcrumbs. And jump over. Yeah. So this happened this week. Any questions on this part? I'm getting close to the end of what I can show you. Oh, I always get nervous when people don't ask questions, but you know what? There's one more item that we're going to do. Okay. I'm going to show you this is ChatGPT, and so somebody give me their job title.
Senior QA analyst.
Senior QA analyst?
Yeah.
All right. So this is the link from the things to learn. The top item. This is a custom ChatGPT like in their store. It's free. And this is showing different types of things in your job, and it's rating what percentage of time you could save, and then the exposure of these capabilities. All right. So test results. And now let's pick something that's you want. Reviewing users. Okay. So I'm going to grab that. So
Guys, we have a minute, just FYI.
All right. So I'm going to wrap up with this because it's 9:55, and as a speaker, you always have to stay on time. But so this is just an example of something that can allow you to really review what are the exact things in my job or for the job I'm interviewing for that I can use AI to accomplish right now. All right, so I'll wrap up there. Any questions or comments? Anybody want to add any from their experience?
I will ask something. So from your experience on using different options for generative AI, say Claude, Perplexity, ChatGPT, is there any that you feel are more inclined to use lately?
Okay, I subscribe to Claude. ChatGPT is fine. You know, really any of them are going to like help you. It depends on the type of work you're using or doing. For me, I like Claude. I find that very, very good. Google has released some stuff recently, and probably they're going to get ahead of everybody in the long term because they have the data centers. But ChatGPT is, you know, what everybody knows. So it's kind of like the best camera is the one you have in your pocket. So I would just do work, real work that you're doing augmented with any one of them and see how that, you know, use these principles that I provided today. Does that answer your question,
Yeah.
Javier? I pay for Claude. That's me, though.
Thank you very much.
What else?
Well, everyone, if this is the time that we have left, thank you very much, Mark, for your time, for your presentation, and sharing this information. I look forward to connect with you on the future. And if anyone else has questions, please feel free to enter them into the chat. We can probably forward them later to him. And for remember that there is a next event in the schedule is with Dexian. You can head to the room for that. If you have any feedback, there is a form in the chat as well that you can fill out. We'd appreciate it very much. But thank you again very much, Mark, for your
My
time.
pleasure. Thank you, Javier. Thanks, everyone, for attending.
Great job,
You.
Mark. We should talk.
Great job.
Yes.
Yeah.